Hi class, some recommendations when completing your midterm assignment form. I just wanted to take you through the screen here and just show you some tips and tricks. So when you're filling out the template within the occupation, pretty straightforward what it is that you're looking for. If you'd like to add in some more details, not necessarily just what they do, but how long they sit, what they wear for footwear. If you want to add in anything else that you think might be pertinent about stress levels or number of hours worked per week, feel free to go ahead and do that. As far as lifestyle goes, whether that's recreational or athletic activities, go ahead and the more information you can have here, the better. If someone's swinging a hammer for 5 hours a week, or playing volleyball for 10 hours a week, or playing Xbox for 20 hours a week, it all fits in. So we want some more detail to paint a full picture of the individual that we're using for this assignment. For the medical history, you're trying to go ahead and put as much information as you can here within your scope as being a health and fitness professional. Talking about using the assessments that you have within your textbook to find out information on health history. If someone's knee bothers them when they jog, if their big toe gets sore after they wear, their running shoes, whatever it is. We want to paint a complete picture here. Talk about medications they may or may not be on. The goals is another area that I would like to see some more detail on. This example here, we'd like to beef this up. So this says she would like to lose weight and tone up, increase flexibility and balance. Now that is not very specific. So when you're setting the goals here, you want to follow the Scampi process, and we want to build out the detail through here. So instead of saying lose weight and tone up, we could say that this client here, Sally, is a pretend client. Sally wants to lose 5 pounds of fat and increase tone. So she wants to lose 5 pounds of fat, and she would like to be able to wear her favorite shirt and be pleased with the way she looks. Increase flexibility, so you'd say I'd like to increase her range of motion on her squat, or improve from 10 degrees of dorsiflexion to 15 degrees of dorsiflexion in both ankles, to improve the single leg balance assessment time from 2 seconds to 12 seconds, whatever it may be, but add in some specifics along with that. As far as the assessments go through, I'd like you to be able to go through as many of these as you can. But if you can start to click off which ones are specific to the individual and their goals, that might help you with your thinking as if we were working with a client. But for here, go through as many of them as you can. Scroll down to the next page here, you see Sally sample. On this section, make sure that you figure out their resting heart rate, their estimated heart rate max, as well as training zones 1, 2, and 3. Put down the cardio assessments you're going to use, whether it's a step test or Rockport. You don't have to do both, but I would recommend that you do both if you haven't done them, just to experiment with them so you get a different feel for them. Sometimes you might get slightly different scores for each one. It might put you in slightly different zones, but when you use different assessments, you get slightly different results. Choose one. I'd recommend choosing two. As far as the movement assessments go, you'll see this in more detail than in your textbook. The anterior and lateral views are going to be the most important. The posterior view gives us a little bit more feedback as far as what's going on in the pelvis, what's happening at the shoulders, and if there's any excessive pronation at the foot. So if you'd like to take a posterior view and check that off on the screen as well, feel free to do so. Single leg squat. If someone has a very poor overhead squat or two-legged squat, don't do a single leg squat with them. We don't want to injure themselves. For the purpose of this course, I would like you to try to go ahead and perform that on yourselves. But for the single leg squat, major compensations is the foot flattening, is the knee moving inwards or outwards, or is there any sort of lateral hip shift. Follow your textbook along for that. This is critical here, the muscles that need to be stretched. These are the muscles that are going to be overactive that correlate to the movement assessments or the movement compensation that you've checked off on the screen. So using your textbook to highlight what muscles are overactive and need to be inhibited and stretched within an OPT workout. The Davies Assessment. Have some fun with that one. If you have an upper extremity injury that might preclude your participation in this one. Shark scale test. Again, you have a lower extremity injury, might preclude your participation in this one. You can do this with left leg versus right leg, but in real life you can also compare scores from just two legs as well. And for many clients that I have coming in, I'm going to start them off with 2 legs. If they execute well with 2 legs, then I'll try 1 leg. So the real world applications start with the 2-leg overhead squat. If they look good with that, then I try the single leg overhead squat, look good with that. Then I go to a 2-legged shark scale. If they look good with that, I go to a right versus left comparison. Some people just won't be able to do a single leg shark scale examination in the health and fitness industry 100%. We want to be cautious of that. Self-assessments, want to make sure that you're adding as much detail as possible. So there's some good information on this, but I'd like to see a little bit more beef, a little bit more detail. So the answer to the first question says the tests were actually more difficult to perform than I thought they would be. I read about them but never tried them myself, and you can read the rest there. It gives a good amount of information. It gives some detail. I'd like to see a little bit more, but 1 or 2 or 3 word answers or 1 sentence answer is not going to be sufficient to gain the maximum points through this section. So make sure you're adding detail. Make sure you're answering the questions all the way throughout. As far as the grading rubric, let's take a look at that template right through there. Make sure your name is at the top there. So we've got our Sally sample just like we did on the other one. General information, you get a total of 5 points available. For this specific example, they didn't use the Scampi goals. We want to make sure we have some specifics and timelines around them. They did a good job with recording the recommended assessments as well as the occupation, lifestyle, and medical history. Make sure your name and date are on there, heart rate information, target zones, cardio assessments, everything that I detailed on the sheet for you, that on the assessment form. Total number of points in that second section are 45. On the third here, I just went over it a little bit here. Now, one thing this person didn't really give enough information on is which tests were the easiest to perform and why. We'd like to go ahead and make sure that there's all the detail in there so we can get the maximum of 70 points total for this section. Just answer the questions, put in more than 1 sentences, and you should be pretty straightforward as far as your grading goes with this. And from a client's perspective, what are some things that you might need to consider? And make sure that you're connecting their assessments to their goals. It comes back to using your Scampi goals. And then at the bottom, we'll tabulate them, the results for part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and then the total. The total is going to be 150 points. So I hope this guideline or tutorial is helpful for you. I look forward to reading your assignments. Have a great week.